لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. Brothers and sisters everywhere, dear viewers, Huda TV viewers everywhere, I would like to welcome you to this very special meeting from the sacred land of Mecca. We are actually in the valley of Mina. We just finished some of the ceremonies of Hajj, alhamdulillah, the slaughtering of the hadi, throwing of the stones, and we celebrated Eid as well, alhamdulillah, shukrullah. And today, by the grace of Allah, I have a wonderful company with me. Our beloved and dear colleagues, Sheikh Muhammad Majid, all the way from the USA, the former president of ISNA, Islamic Society of North America, and he's also the Imam of Adam Center, right? Thank you for joining us. Barakallah feek. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
And Sheikh Abdul Hakim Ali, Dr. Sheikh Abdul Hakim Ali, from Texas as well, from Dallas,
From
right?
Dallas, yes.
And you have seen Sheikh Abdul Hakim on the Huda TV screen before, alhamdulillah, shukrullah. And Sheikh Mamdouh as well, you have seen him as well. Sheikh Mamdouh Mahmoud is from Houston, Texas. So Texans are taking over in this meeting. As you know that I'm not a very good moderator, but I'll do my best, inshaAllah Azza Jal. We decided not to have a host because I believe we're a family. Alhamdulillah, shukla. And it's going to be an informal talk. And since we're speaking about the family, as you all know that we're here in Mina, and all those Hujjaj, several million people, couple million people, not just this year, but ever since Ibrahim alayhi salam started this, and until the Day of Judgment, we're here to commemorate the remembrance of the blessed family of Abraham, peace be upon him. So we'll take it from there, inshaAllah. I would kindly ask Imam Majid to shed some light and give some insight on this beautiful commemoration which gathers the greatest annual meeting over all.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are in such a beautiful gathering in Mina. This really occasion remind me of the best family and the model family of Tawheed of Ibrahim alayhi salam. You know, the family of Ibrahim alayhi salam have been honored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, designated some of their you know, the memory of being in this land as part of the rites of the Hajj. So you see in the Kaaba, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to pray at Maqam Ibrahim, Takhdu Maqam Ibrahim Musalla. The project itself, if you can call it a project, of the Kaaba was a family project. When Ibrahim alayhi salam brought his family to the valley where there's no vegetation, there's no water, Allah says that Ibrahim alayhi salam said, ربي إني أسكنت من ذريتي بواد غير ذي زرع عند بيتك المحرم ربنا ليقيموا الصلاة. I brought my family, oh Allah, to this sacred land at the place where it will be the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being built. The only purpose of being here is to establish prayer. The mission of the family is to establish prayer. ربنا ليقيموا الصلاة. Then أجعل أفئدة من الناس تهوي إليهم. When I see there's millions of people here, I say subhanallah, I started with a lady and a child and a plain desert, and all of a sudden now millions of people are coming every year.
And there are hundreds of millions who would love to come.
Absolutely. You know, I was telling to the Hujjaj, I was talking to them about the invitation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I said to each one of them, when they stamp your passport, they give you the visa. When you get that airline ticket, when you flew from United States to Saudi, all of this as indicators has been invited. Many people around the world would like to be here today. Therefore, for me, we need to learn from this family in every aspect of implementation of Tawheed. For Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he brought Hajar alayhi salam, she really taught all of us the concept of tawakkul, relying on God, Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala. When she said to her husband, is it your own decision? You know, let us talk as a family. Is it just your fault you're going to let us stay in this desert?
Are you going to leave us here alone?
Yeah. He said, is it Allah ordered you to do this or your own thinking? Because I'm a marriage counselor. Like Hajar alayhi salam said, if this is a family decision, just come from you, I don't think it's the right place to be. If Allah asks you to put us here, then I accept that. He will never abandon us. That's what she said. لن يضيعنا. So for every sister who watching this program, you need to learn from this model and example of a giant lady. She was brought from the Nile, from Egypt. She saw the beautiful land of Egypt, and now here there's no water, there's no vegetation, there's no people. And subhanAllah, Allah honored her. When she ran between those two mountains, Safa and Marwa, it became part of the rites of the Hajj. In the Safa wal Marwa min sha'airillah. And then we have Zamzam as the symbols of this tawakkul and tawheed. And building of the Kaaba itself is a family project. I'm saying to the Muslims in America, please let the second generation participate in building institutions. Do not separate yourself in building those institutions.
So they feel they belong there.
Exactly. Allah says, يرفع إبراهيم القواعد من البيت وإسماعيل. Second generation. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. Therefore you have the father and the son building the Kaaba. You have the mother that really made that effort running on the two mountains to become part of the Hajj. And then you have Mina. Mina is the ultimate sacrifice of Ismail alayhi salam. Sometimes, ya Sheikh, I see this emphasis on Ibrahim alayhi salam, which is true. I cannot imagine as a father being ordered to slaughter your own child, because he's a prophet. But how about the child himself? Because they thought, in sometimes misconception, that Ibrahim alayhi salam was asked to slaughter this, to sacrifice his son, and he just went and said, "Listen, come with me, let me trick you." No, he discussed it with the son.
It was a full agreement.
Exactly, and the son said, "If'al ma tu'mar." I'm willing to give it.
Inshallah, I will get back to you, Sheikh Majid, because this is a very important topic. We cannot just come here or watch those who come here as doing some sort of rituals, and that's it. We have to reflect on those meanings.
Yes.
Maybe some of the viewers are fully aware of it, but we have to share this with the next generation, with the youth, with boys and girls. Sheikh Abdul Hakim, for a moment, every time I perform Sa'i, we're talking about the family project. The whole family is involved in this beautiful sacrifice. And we are commemorating the remembrance of the entire family, not only Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. I understand the sacrifice of Prophet Ibrahim because he's a prophet. And he was tried once and he has seen Allah's blessing when he was thrown in fire and he was saved. That's perfectly fine. And when he was 86 and he was given the son, his first son, and that's perfectly fine. So when Allah tests him, he is qualified to be tested. But what is hard to imagine, a woman who used to be a slave, living in Egypt among the pharaohs, in the palace of the pharaoh, and she was given to Sarah as a gift. Where did she acquire this amount of faith and belief that she got the guts not to be afraid when she's abandoned in the middle of nowhere?
Yes.
I know that Iman does wonders. Faith does wonders. There is no impossible whenever there is faith. I would like for you to shed some light on that and also explain how every single believer, not only of us, but all the prophets who have performed Hajj, have followed the footsteps of this woman who used to be a slave woman.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Before I get to your question, I'd like to echo something Sheikh Muhammad Majid actually has said. He pointed it out a little bit. He said that the mission was to do your prayers. But what comes after that actually is building society. What people don't understand is building a society, they think it's a matter of a pure organizational status quo. But a society that is not built on faith, a society that's not built on a belief in
Very
in
vulnerable,
worship,
very fragile.
it's a very vulnerable, exactly. That society is about to collapse. It will collapse eventually, unless its foundation is strong. And this is what Islam is all about, establishing a foundation that regardless of what comes of waves that later, that foundation stands strong. And with Hajj, I saw that as that pillar, as that foundation. That faith of her created for her a stand-up strong personality. Her running between the two mountains was showing the effort. Her leaving her child was showing the faith. Her acceptance of her fate was a result of a will to build a society that was meant to build by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this sacred land. The land that every mankind wishes to come, even if they were Muslims, they were told to come. لِلْعَالَمِينَ وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ يَأْتُوكَ رِجَالًا. All of mankind. The second thing with this, with Hajar in particular, alayhi salam, there's a saying in the United States where they say, it's a man's world. Yeah. It's a man's world. It's a song, it's a man's world. But in reality, the greatest nation that has ever been established, a nation that has survived through generations and generations and wars and calamities and crisis, was built by a woman. Allah Ta'ala chose a woman to build this generation. It wasn't Ismail either. It wasn't the father, Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam left them and walked. Ismail was too young to actually understand the foundation of a society. And this woman comes, as you said, as a slave, someone that was stripped from her freedom just years ago, who was given as a gift, as a product, as a property, had the understanding and the tools to bring faith and world together, to bring the hereafter and the world together, and put them in a mixture that the clan that came from Jurhum, she was negotiating with them. They said, can we have access to your water? She goes, no, I will not give you access to my water.
Wow, she's a decision maker.
Exactly, with strength and power and will. She was all alone, and that's a tribe coming, but she had no fear of them. She goes, no, I will not give you access to my water unless you are willing to establish a city with me here.
Subhanallah.
She was ahead of her time. She was way ahead of her time. Actually, if I really want to phrase it, she was exactly where she was supposed to be at her time. I think we have fallen behind our time.
Okay, I'll just interrupt you for a moment. So, is it okay for some to teach their own children that Sarah felt jealous of Hajar and she asked Ibrahim to throw them away? Is it befitting for a prophet to do that to his only child because his wife felt jealous of Hajar?
Absolutely not. This whole story is fabricated. Sarah was one of the amazing women of all times. The prophet's wives are chosen women. Yeah. They're not based on beauty or wealth or a
but
lust
she was
of
beautiful
love.
too. She was the most beautiful woman.
Yeah, absolutely. But she was chosen for Ibrahim. Yeah. The greatest man that Allah Ta'ala had chosen to be the most beloved to him, chose the most beloved woman to him also. Yeah. And chose also the most beloved second woman to him, which is Hajar, and brought children that exemplified what a true family is, exemplified what understanding what the Lord have said before understanding what the parents have said. The result of that relationship between the parents is an outcome of the result of the one above the heavens.
Wonderful. Great.
That is exactly what this family is all about.
Great.
And Hajar exemplified it. I think it wasn't Ibrahim alayhi salam that glued this family together in Mecca. In my perspective, I think it was Hajar that glued this family together. Ibrahim alayhi salam rotated his visit. Hajar raised Ismail. That response that Ismail gave his father and said, if al-ma tu'mar, do as you were ordered,
it was because of the way the mother raised
Hajar raising Ismail alayhi salam.
MashaAllah.
That's exactly what it is.
Sheikh Mamdouh, I know that you're running an educational institute, and often we hear in the States, in the West in general, about from women rights organizations how women are being, deprived of their rights, being treated as inferior in the society, in the Muslim society. So from all of that, what kind of message that we can actually send to the whole world? How Islam reveres, respects, and values a woman, practically.
Yeah, that very story that we're talking about from the Quran is the ultimate answer for that. I'd like first to say that the way I look at the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, the verses that Imam Majid and Sheikh Abdul Hakim commented on, I'd like to take it from a three-dimensional perspective: educational perspective, spiritual perspective, and the human perspective. Spiritual perspective is where the religion comes, which connects you with Allah Azza wa Jal. And that's what Ibrahim alayhi salam, Tawheed, and the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, he planted in Hajar and Ismail. And the human perspective, where the tribe came, as Sheikh Abdul Hakim mentioned, and the interaction came and all that. And then the educational aspect. While Hajar alayhi salam was the glue to do that. I feel, I'll slightly differ with Sheikh Abdul Hakim, but I feel that she became like that because of the impact of Ibrahim alayhi salam.
Yeah, of course.
Like
Because of the
Khadija,
impact of Iman.
like Khadija radiallahu anha had what it takes to be the mother of the believers, but it is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam who put the Islamic perspective that she became Khadija. Aisha was needed also, radiallahu anha, as a young wife to transmit all this education. 1/3 of our religion, subhanallah, as some of the scholars said. And there's the
1/3
answer
or
for you.
1/2?
More, 1/2. And she taught all the men at her time. What more answer you need? What more eloquent of an answer you need for all those who are asking about women's rights? So she was needed. She had what it takes, as age-wise, as the status-wise, the daughter of Abu Bakr and all that. But it was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam who gave her what made her Aisha the one who transmits. So it was Ibrahim alayhi salam who put in Ismail what Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned later. إنه كان صادق الوعد وكان رسولا نبيا وكان يأمر أهله بالصلاة والزكاة. How he will يأمر أهله because through Ibrahim alayhi salam.
Between your statement and Sheikh Abdul Hakim's statement, but rather I would agree with what he said more with regards to who actually raised
طبعا.
Ismail, who prepared
Hajar.
him for this situation, who made him ready to say, افعل ما تؤمر.
Is Hajar.
Imagine, because the Quran says, فلما بلغ معه السعي, which means before that they didn't meet. As you know that he missed his
طبعا.
father in a couple visits. He's coming from Palestine. This is an amazing story. But when he came and actually happened to meet with him, that was the very first meeting. He haven't seen him since he was baby. And, am I right?
Subhanallah.
And there he meets him, not just to give him a hug and say, I missed you, honey. And no, he said, I have seen in a night vision, وَرُؤْيَا الْأَنْبِيَاء حَقٌّ.
Wahi.
Wahi. The night visions of the prophets is a form of revelation. And the response of the child, افعل ما تؤمر. Do as you're commanded. So I would say, really, really, really,
It is the
Hajar
mother.
had a lot
She is.
to invest in Ismail to be parents, not just a parent, to prepare him for this moment.
As Imam Majid mentioned, that from a counselor point of view, not only she would object to Prophet Ibrahim's decision, but she would object, what you're going to do with our son, with our only son, you know, what is this? But because what the education she has, the motherhood that she has, the iman that she has, so she did not interfere.
Okay, we're not going to leave this before I actually reflect on, you know, our daily lives. You know how whenever somebody gets laid off in the States, and the wife is panicking, the payment, the mortgage, the rent, blah, 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 and all of that, and she actually makes it worse for the husband.
Sahih.
Because she is not up to the standard where she realizes the concept of provision and Allah, and, you know, supports the husband, versus what Khadija radiallahu anha said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was in this situation, and she said, إنك لا تحمل الكل وتنصر الضعيف وتطعم وتكر الضيف إلى غير ذلك, etc. Then she supported him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He needed the support. She was like a wife and a mother and everything.
She had what it takes.
Yeah. And the wives of our predecessors, as we were taught, one would stop her husband while leaving early morning to earn his provision, and she would say, she would say,
do not bring illegal or unlawful provision to this house.
Because we can endure, you know, hunger patiently. But there is no way that we can bear the fire of hell.
And that is why I asked, and I emphasize the nature of these great women that we're talking about now was not a result of pure education. They're also instilled in them. That is why in our faith, when you choose your partner in life, you choose a partner that actually has a foundation that never changes, which is faith. Everything about this world is not stagnant. It keeps on evolving. Faith grows, not just evolves. It actually grows strength.
But our friend here is going to say that the manners are a result of two things: acquired and genetic.
There's no doubt about that. And that's what we find with Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. Before even the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave her the first element of da'wah, he was at at odds with himself. At odds with himself. He thought that he has reached a level of insanity.
Yeah,
Because all of a
that's right.
sudden he's seeing things that he have never experienced before. He's seeing some kind of angel that have covered the horizons, and another one that's squeezing him as hard as it can be, that's in the shape of a man, and saying, read. Okay? And then all of a sudden he finds himself reading something that he has never heard, but it makes sense to him. But Khadija used what you just have said. She used the attributes and characteristics of the Rasul ﷺ that she relates to. She recognized them because she related to them. Khadija was a woman that was sought by every man in Mecca. Not just by her wealth, but her personality and character. And because she can relate to these characters, she chose the man that was much younger than her.
She's the one who chose him.
That's an
She
amazing
chose the
point.
man that was much younger than her
chose.
and less wealthier than her. But she knew
Shall
a
we
day
say
will
that
come.
he won?
He won.
In this aspect of,
Amazing. Great point.
of counseling, because I do a lot of marriage counseling myself, I would like to say that when you look to the family of Ibrahim alayhi salam,
Alayhi salam.
you will see that the communication was essential. Hajar alayhi salam raising the question, why are you making this decision? Which is husband and wife, they have to consult one another, they have to talk to each other, especially in big decision making. Relocating, purchasing big purchase,
You know,
like a
families
house.
break down because of a decision like that.
Exactly.
Let alone being the desert, you know.
Yeah, therefore decision making has to be based on consultation.
No.
The second aspect of it is the relationship of Ibrahim alayhi salam has with Ismail alayhi salam. Sheikh Abdul Hakim said Hajar alayhi salam raised a son who were well-mannered, but the father also understood you cannot just impose decision on your children, especially a big decision about their life. Such a big decision. Therefore, you see that in the Quran, by the way. The conversation Luqman has with his son, you see that Yusuf alayhi salam with his Yaqub alayhi salam, and you see it here with the Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam, which is a lesson for every family watching this program. Talk to your children. We have many families in the United States. They were caught by surprise when their children made very poor decisions because there is no channel of communication. You know what they say in the United States? If you like to make sure that your children will not use drugs, ask them what they have been. Engage them in conversation. The more that the children been isolated from their parents and using this iPad and iPod and I, and we lost the sense of we don't even have a conversation around the dinner table anymore because everyone have this texting under the table, talking to somebody else, not to their family. And you see here in Quran that parents engaging their children, having conversation with them. The other aspect of this family, I do believe that when we look to the role of Hajar alayhi salam and Ibrahim alayhi salam, they have complemented one another. Ibrahim alayhi salam brought Tawheed and taught her all those values, but she has to be receptive.
Yeah.
You have in the Quran. You have the Quran. Nuh alayhi salam, his wife couldn't accept his message. You know what I mean? You have Lut alayhi salam, his wife rejected his message. Therefore, and you have Asiya rejected her husband's belief system. Therefore, you have to give credit to the woman in decision making, like Hajar alayhi salam, to be receptive and to be understanding and to make the decision with her husband. You mentioned something about family going through a very tough time. I do see in this Hajj that the Hujjaj spend hours and hours in Tawaf. Hujjaj slept in Muzdalifah and their cover was the sky. Their bed was the ground. I think every family who have been in Hajj should learn from this experience. If you can be patient, have perseverance during Hajj, you can do that at home. This was a lesson from this experience. For me, we need to reflect in every aspect of the Hajj and to take this value and virtue back home and to make it transform our behavior, our attitude toward one another, toward our colleague and people around us.
Jazakallahu khairan. I would like to divert the attention a little bit from the spirituality of this beautiful moment that we're spending into a fiqh issue, pure fiqh issue. I understand that in as-sa'i, which is the third pillar of Umrah, and it is the fourth pillar of Hajj, a pillar that we jog back and forth and all of that, follow the footsteps of Hajar, peace be upon him, right? But in one area that men really have to speed up, like jog, really jog, not just walk. While women are not allowed to. And originally, we're following the footsteps of a woman. Wouldn't it be more worthy for women to jog like Hajar, peace be upon her? What do you have to say on that?
Interesting question.
Real question.
It is true, we do follow the footsteps of Hajar. And she did run in that lower level of the valley because she was losing sight of her son.
Yeah.
So she was expediting her steps because she wanted to see her son. But as time progressed, women today, in the process of running, she's in the presence of other men, where Hajar was not.
Yeah.
Hajar was not in the presence of other men, where she was exposed. And because this is a pure ibadah that we need every individual to be more focused and not distracted by anything that's
So it is not a
surrounding.
blind following.
It's not a blind following. And it also gives me a little outside the ballpark thought, is that it's time for you, brother, to start running in this dunya. Your wife already did her running.
Yes.
It's time for you to show that you're willing to carry some of the load. Hajar already done it, and every man needs to do it today.
If I may ask you to pause for a moment, because we have a viewer currently from Mina. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. طيب, okay, we lost that call. We'll try again, inshallah. Please continue, Sheikh Abdul Hakim.
So basically, modesty, Islam is about modesty. And when the woman's running in front of a man, she is exposed. Add to it that this is a pure ibadah, we do not want the distraction. Men are told to run. And if I wanted to add a little bit moral aspect of it, men are, it's time for them to run today to carry the load that Hajar has done. And we follow our deen. Our deen said that the woman should not run anymore in between those green lights.
Yeah.
Green lights. It is not allowed for them or hated for them to do so. And it is sunnah for a man to do so.
Oh my
it's not
God.
a mandate.
So if you're talking about in the most sacred place on earth, where women are dressed up in the most proper hijab, supposedly, and men are not thinking about anything bad, and you're still asking women not to jog because that may expose them and reveal their aura. So what do you think about going to a mixed gym? Really?
I guess I got to give up my membership. You know, what I love about Texas, I live in Dallas, by the way, and there's quite a number
Are you
of...
promoting Texas now?
Well, don't mess with Texas.
Especially Dallas.
Yeah. There's quite a number of gyms that are segregated between the males and females. And I've got to know quite a number of women that said that they feel more comfortable exercising and actually have accomplished more from their exercise when they are in their own gym. Because they feel more comfortable in what they do.
I understand that, but you know, you understood my question perfectly.
Absolutely,
Is
I
it
should not allow
okay
that.
or not okay?
No, absolutely, it's not okay. A Muslim should not expose himself to scenes that we usually see at fitness centers. Fitness centers are places where more is showing than it is covering. And even if there is a cover, it's more of it's more of a cover that's not there. It's more explosive. It's more explosive than actually an uncovering.
Yeah, can I really take a shot at this?
Can I ask you to begin with you after the short break, inshallah?
Sure.
Because I was told that we're going to take a short break after this segment. Inshallah, when we're back, we'll continue with Imam Majid about the same subject, brothers and sisters.
I want the Sheikh to make
We'll do this, inshallah, after the break. Brothers and sisters, please stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك لا شريك لك إن الحمد والنعمة لك.
Imagine that the Anbiya, they were the most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they had the hardest lives.
He assumed that he had some kind of superiority and he was a better, more chosen, a select, better person because he had this wealth. And then you look at all the other people who had wealth, and some of them were the worst people. You had Fir'aun and
Qarun.
Reviving your niyyah time and again, that you're doing it sincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Most of the youth, they think, oh, I'm going to pray when I'm old, it's okay, now I'll have fun in my life. Later on I'll work, I'll go on my bed, I'll pray 5 times a day. And all these things, they think that's later on in their life, and they don't know when they will die.
Amira, who's your role model?
Khadija radiallahu anha.
And why?
Because she was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's wife, and she was the first lady to believe in Islam.
لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك لا شريك لك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك.
Huda TV's social media sites are the best way to contact us from anywhere around the world. Stay connected with Huda TV's latest news and programs through Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, Skype, and Instagram. It's fast and easy. Stay up to date with your favorite shows and scholars today. Huda TV, a light in every home.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك لا شريك لك إن الحمد والنعمة لك.
Why is Hajj so important? Allah the Almighty said in verse number 97 of the 3rd chapter of the Quran, which is known as Ali Imran, He said, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا تابعوا بين الحج والعمرة فإنهما ينفيان الفقر والذنوب. Follow up, performing Hajj after Hajj and Umrah after Umrah. So what is the first step? Ihram. The first pillar is Ihram. What does Ihram mean? What does it entail? Hajj al-Ifrad, many of the local people do Hajj al-Ifrad, and others because they're exempt from offering the Hajj or the sacrifice. It doesn't require Hajj. So when you say لبيك اللهم عمرة وحجة, that's called Qiran. And you do the rites of Umrah and you do not take off the Ihram condition. Rather you continue until you finish the Hajj. So Al-Hajj and Al-Umrah, and following up between Hajj and Umrah for those who can afford it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives their past sins or whatever sins in between.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back from the great valley of Mina. And Mina is in Mecca. Tell you the truth, I'm really having fun with you guys. And I started liking the job of being a host or a moderator. So I don't know if I do have the charisma. And,
you have more, mashallah.
Do you think I can?
You do. I'll reserve my opinion till the end.
Okay. Imam Majid, before the break, he had something to say. I said, inshallah, in the next segment, please.
Yeah, one of the aspects of Hajar alayhi salam effort running between the two mountains is the honoring of motherhood. When men run and when men do the sa'i, they recognize the importance of motherhood. ما من رجل هو إلا هو ابن أنثى. Every a man is a child of a mother, or a husband who have seen his wife giving birth to his children. Therefore, my request for our audience, especially men, I would like people to recognize the importance of motherhood in our community. I do believe in the United States and in Europe, women, Muslim women, take a tremendous burden of raising children as Muslims. And especially for women who wear hijab, she has been recognized in the society as a Muslim more than anyone else. And therefore, when we really look to this rights of Hajj, Sa'i, I do believe we'll have to rethink in our community and our society, where is the place of motherhood? Whether in our education program or social program, are we supporting even single mothers? Like Hajar alayhi salam was semi-single mother, because Ibrahim alayhi salam was away when she was running. We have mothers in our community that raising children by themselves.
Let me see if I rightly understood you. Are you trying to say that the best job for the mother is to be a house engineer?
What do you mean by that?
No, the best job is to be a mother, whether she's working or not.
But I would like to say, so that I will not say anything that will not be right. We have mothers in the United States. They came from different parts of the world. They lost their husband in war. A woman is working, supporting her children, and yet sit with them finishing the homework, taking them to Sunday schools, taking them to the youth camp. They do a lot. Our society, our community have to establish social services that support those single mothers and really help them to raise those children. You know, this is African saying, it takes a village to raise a child. I would say it takes a community to raise a child. We have to help those young ladies. That's why Ibrahim alayhi salam realized that she cannot do it by herself. You need a community to help a mother to raise a child.
طيب جزاك الله خيرا Imam Majid, بارك الله فيكم. You know that a few hundred yards from here is a location where the Prophet ﷺ held the pledge of Al-Aqaba.
No.
Okay. And this pledge, if you remember, Ubadah ibn Samit, may Allah be pleased with him, who attended this pledge. And he said it is dearer to him than the event of Badr. And Badr is the most famous event. He said that he attended the event of Bay'atul Aqaba. If you can shed some light on that, and why this event, the pledge of Al-Aqaba, why are you looking at each other?
Oh, I thought...
Yeah, because his turn.
It was his turn.
Your turn now.
Yeah.
You know, the significance of such pledge in shaping the future of the Muslim Ummah, because it came at a very crucial time.
Yes.
Okay.
If you notice, I mean, Al-Aqaba is just a continuation of this deen needs a society. It needs supporters in an Ummah. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the best da'i that ever existed, lived in Mecca, and for 13 years he struggled, and the people struggled, and some had to leave Mecca itself to go to a distant area or distant country like Abyssinia and Al-Habasha. Al-Aqaba brought to the Ummah a hope of a future, of a state, of an institution. And with these small groups of people from Medina pledging that they will defend the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as they defend their own families, that they will embrace this deen full-heartedly with all of its obligations without a demand of one return of aspects of this dunya. Ma lana ya Rasulallah, falakumul jannah.
Okay, may I ask you to pause, so I will take this call from Sister Fatima from Egypt, and we'll get back to you inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Fatima from Egypt.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Salah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'd just like to thank you, Jazakallahu khair.
Wa jazakum.
Jazakumullahu khair for this program.
Thank you, Sister Fatima, wa jazakum. Same to you.
And Jazakumullahu for shedding light on this Hajj rite, and also, MashaAllah, you know, for this insight on the women in Islam. It really gives us a lot of strength that the youth now are encouraging a lot of single women, because we have them a lot nowadays, because of the broken societies and broken marriage, so women do take on a lot of responsibility. So if it's possible, if you can shed more light on that subject, on how we can help the single mothers around the world, around the Muslim Ummah. And Jazakumullahu alf khair for the great you are doing.
Barakallah feekum. Thank you so much, Sister Fatima. Alf much. All right. Sheikh Abdul Hakim, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Inshallah, we'll handle the sister's question. Perhaps it's your turn to tackle this after we're done with Sheikh Abdul Hakim.
So as I was saying, Al-Aqaba is a natural growth of a true dynasty or a true call, which is in each society, in each ummah. In the Quran, لو أن لي بكم قوة أو آوي إلى ركن شديد. If I had someone to lean on and have a power. Another ayah, وَلَوْلَا رَهْتُكَ لَرَجَمْنَاكَ. If it was not for your people, we would have stoned you. The Rasul ﷺ throughout 13 years struggled to find a wall to lean on until he was told to migrate. And Allah Ta'ala sent these people from Medina to this sacred land. It's so ironic.
Was this persecution stage necessary? I mean, why did he have to go through this persecution and for 13 years? Wasn't it enough to be just 3 years, 4 years?
You know, understanding the value of something, you have to go through to feel that value. Anything free is free to let go.
I'm just presenting a question. You know, whenever we were teaching the students the Seerah class, and we discussed with them that they offer the Prophet to be the king, to make him the wealthiest. And he turned all of these offers down and said, no. And he maintained his steadfastness as a prophet.
Absolutely.
You know, inviting people to monotheism. So some of the students said, you know, shouldn't he accept the offer to be a king, then force people to follow him?
There's a couple of aspects to this. First, the da'wah and the dunya really cannot blend together in a way to where the dunya becomes the foundation of the da'wah. So if he was to accept being the king, then his da'wah is coming from an authority of a dunya. And that would have a hard time, you know, accessing to the hearts of people. And also the person that's carrying that da'wah, if he doesn't bleed into it, then it doesn't really resonate in his own life.
And it is true that there are pharaohs, kings who force people not just to follow their way of living, but rather to worship them. But when they died,
it goes away.
It's over.
Their
mission vanished.
It backfires. And the second part about it is, it has been a sunnah throughout the time of life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has deemed to test people on their faith.
This is what I like to do.
بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين. ألف لام ميم حسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. In the hadith, Rasul صلى الله عليه وسلم يبتلى المؤمن على قدر إيمانه فأكثر الناس بلاء الأنبياء ثم الأمثل.
And Prophet Ibrahim alayhi was not honored with the task of constructing the Kaaba and raising its foundations, but after he was tested, وَإِذْ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ. Remember when Abraham, his Lord tested him with many tests, commands and obligations and trials, and he perfected them, he passed them.
And he got the honor to build the Kaaba. Just like the Rasul ﷺ was honored to put the black stone in its place, because he was also tested prior. Before he was born, his father was put to a test of death. And he said, Ana ibn al-Dabihain. And then even before he saw the light of the sun, his father had passed away. His mother could not raise him, had to give him away for a while. And then passed away at the age of 6. And the grandfather that held him in his arms passed away at the age of 8. And the uncles that were somewhat jealous that he was raised in a loving manner with Abu Talib. He went through that phase of earning.
What kind of message can you send to those who are going through tests and trials right now in the light of what we just stated?
I would tell them, and I tell myself all the time, these tests are preparations for me to be stronger. Allah Ta'ala, with the blink of an eye, with kun fayakun, can solve all my problems. But the solving of my problems, if I don't grow to them by passing these tests, I will not understand what it means to get there. Waking up in Salat al-Fajr, it gives me an understanding of how valuable Salat al-Fajr is. If I were just to pray whenever at my convenience comes, my prayers will be meaningless to me. It would be vague, it would be empty. But because I put that effort into it, fasting the month of Ramadan with that growling stomach and that thirst of mouth allows me to understand that Ramadan is so significant that Allah Ta'ala has accepted it for himself, but I had to put the effort of the hunger and thirst and sleepless nights of praying at night for it to mean something, and it meant something to me. This Hajj that we're at, with all of these people that I see, sleeping in the streets or walking in the crowds and being shoved at the Kaaba, they have earned their way to go back as the day they were born. That prize of going back like the day they were born was not to be given to them while they're sitting on their couches watching a TV show. That does not come. You have to live the moment to get that moment to be yours.
Jazakallah khair. Barakallah. Sheikh Mamdouh, the sister, after thanking us and thanking you, brothers, Jazakumullah khairan, wanted us to shed some light on the role of the Muslim society in supporting single mothers.
SubhanAllah, I wanted to start from that point. So Jazakallah khair for, but I will also take it back to Bay'at al-Aqaba. It has women in it. It had women in it.
That's true. The second pledge, of course,
yeah, second
because
pledge.
there are two pledges.
Of course. But I want first to see why Ubad ibn Samit radiallahu anhu said it's dearer to me than Badr. I don't know, but I might guess that because this is the source of Badr. This is what caused Badr. That is what brought the challenge. That's what brought everything.
It was a turning point.
So for him witnessing this,
community.
Yeah, for him witnessing this, of course he witnessed Badr, but for him he says that that was the cause of it. So for him he had a perspective. What brought this challenge? Badr was the result of it. But for those who joined Badr without being in Bay'at al-Aqaba, that was the beginning of their faith to be challenged. But he saw the seed being planted, and that's why Allahu A'lam, but that's my guessing. Then also for the sisters, and that shows us that not only the men, if we say it's men's society and all that, it's not only men who are looking for the truth. Yani Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was looking for people to lean on, صح? But the people of Medina also, they were looking for the truth, and they were sitting in the camp here in Mina, and they were perceptive, like the Sheikh mentioned, they were perceptive to the message. Because Rasulullah did not start with them. They were after few trials with other tribes. So the sisters were part of it. The mothers were part of it. So if we look to this structure of the society of Medina that started with women also looking for truth, there was no wonder that society was not a man's only society. It was the women who was also defending Rasulullah in the Battle of Uhud. You know that, defending Rasulullah in the Battle of Uhud, giving water and helping the wounded. So the women were in the battlefield. It's not like what we think, like women were always behind the burqa and sitting and all of that. No, the society of Rasulullah actually was the ideal society with our modern standards. Now, our society is helping single mothers. Let me tell you something first. Since I started my educational small program, I find that the children who are progressing faster, they are the result of their mother's care, not the father's. And you know, the surprise is, even if the father is more religious than the mother.
May I ask, hold on for a moment, we have a caller, Sister Aisha from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, Sister Aisha? Welcome to the program.
Yeah, please, I want to ask if...
I'm listening, Sister Aisha, go ahead.
I want to ask a question.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sister Aisha.
Yeah, is it compulsory to perform the Tawaf al-Ifada on that particular day?
Okay. What about Tawaf al-Ifada?
Yeah.
Sister Aisha, I can hear you clearly. Just say your question one shot. Okay. Did you get the question?
No, not really. I heard her mention Tawaf al-Ifada, but I don't know what's the...
I'll try to shed some light on that, inshallah. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No problem. So, This is a very interesting thing. When you are working as an imam of a masjid, you look broader. But when you look as an educator to the children, then you start noticing certain patterns. So I found, especially single mothers, they are more eager to compensate for the absence of the man's role in their children's life. And Allah helps them when they take the right path. Correct. And they come, and you can see how scared they are for their children. Subhanallah, it's a blessing also from Allah Azza wa Jal that Allah Azza wa Jal put. I'm not trying to say that it's a blessing that they are not having a husband or that they are a single mother, but I'm saying to look on the positive side, that she becomes that eager. She wants her son to become better. And I find that always the children, the mother reviews with them, the mother teaches them, the mother wanted them to memorize the Quran, and you find the kids excel even more. And that is something that we want to tell the single mothers, keep the good job that you are doing. But Allah Azza wa Jalla bless you.
The sister actually asked about the responsibility of the Muslim society towards her if she's a single mother. Yeah. And she has all the rights.
She has all the rights. We're supposed all to be fathers for those children. Yeah. A single mother she does not only need the financial help, and I'm sure Imam Majid knows that very well, that it's not about financial help, it is about the social support, that she feels that she belongs to the community. I find it hurting when I find a single mother coming and everybody's looking at her like, oh, she's divorced, why she's divorced, what happened to her, without focusing on her needs and her children's needs. She needs a job, she needs care, she needs people to look to her with respect.
In the Islamic system, is there a specific ruling concerning supporting such people? I mean, I remember Imam Majid, the incident of Umar ibn Khattab when he used to patrol the city of Medina. And he overheard the cries coming from a tent in a remote area. He went to check on them and he blamed the mother. And she said, why are you starving them? She said, I have nothing to feed them to begin with. I'm boiling water. She killed their father, pretending that she's cooking, just to put them to sleep. If you can shed some light on this incident and how Umar ibn Khattab felt responsible, and the responsibility was entirely laid on his shoulders. He didn't say, not me, I didn't know. To the point that after settling the case, providing her with the provision and cooking for the kids, and assigning a monthly welfare for her, he had to settle the case with her from his own pocket. And he written that.
I think one of the aspects of Islamic law, it deals with orphans, for example. You have many verses in the Quran speaking about the right of the orphans and how can we support them and protect their wealth and raise them as a society. Also, Rasulullah said the person who take care of an orphan will be near to him. Also, you realize that in Quran, when the mother of Maryam alayhi salam, she had Maryam. Who supported Maryam?
Zakaria.
The extended family. The absence of an extended family in the West created a problem, especially for immigrant women who might be coming from Africa or coming from Asia, area of conflict. When they come to society in the United States, they seek that extended family, but they don't see it. We become the extended family, the Islamic Center, the mosque, the social service. We have program of resettlement of refugees. And most of those programs are run by people of other faiths, which they really start calling me and calling other imams, said, do you have any support system in your masjid, in your mosque, that support these women? Therefore, my advice that we need to expand the service that we have already in the United States. Every masjid should have a social worker and social service committee to welcome the stranger. This Abir al-Sabil concept in Islam, this taking care of the orphan concept, it built on this social service system that protect every vulnerable person in the society. It was not, it happened just by chance that Rasulullah was an orphan. ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى أما اليتيم فلا تقهر. It was really interesting to me that Surah Al-Ma'un said, أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم. this yatim, this orphan, most likely has a mother. That means somebody has established a system that comfort, help, provide, facilitate service for those mothers.
Absolutely.
Last things I would like to say that sometimes the society, they blame women, especially divorced women. And there's a stigma around this issue. And women come from war zone. They come with trauma. They have a psychological, emotional trauma because of what they have seen. Don't only provide, as the Sheikh was saying, financial help. Provide social service that's holistic. Counseling, provide a system of social support. When the Muhajirin went from Mecca to Medina, what kind of system of Islam established? Established a social system of mu'akha.
I'm sorry, Sister Aisha is back on the line.
Okay.
And she's been waiting for a while.
I'm sorry.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Aisha. Welcome back.
Wa alaikum salam.
Go ahead. You were asking about Tawaf al-Ifada. What about it?
Yes, I did it compulsory to perform the Tawaf al-Ifada on the first day of the stoning.
Okay. Okay. Right. Inshallah, I think I got your question. This is what I assumed in the first place. Inshallah, we'll answer that. Inshallah. Thank you, Sister Aisha. Barakallah fiqh. Inshallah, soon after Imam Majid gets through, inshallah, we'll answer this question. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
The other aspect of this, we have to have very strong youth programs. Why I'm saying this? How many you are imams, and you've been in the West for a while. How many women, single mothers, who come to me or to you and says, where is the youth program that I can have my children come to, and I can be comfortable that it will be catering toward those children who've been growing up in the West. I'm not from the West. I don't know what's going on. She doesn't know even how to use the internet, some of them. And therefore we have to provide a system I call social safety net, a kind of a program that help those mothers to be able to navigate their way in the society that they are not familiar with. That would be my request.
Jazakallah khairan, thank you so much. Before we take a break, Sister Aisha, it's okay if you didn't perform Tawaf al-Ifada today. You still can do it tomorrow, day after tomorrow, or until the day of your departure. And luckily, the more right view, if you happen to postpone Tawaf al-Ifada on the day of your departure and perform Tawaf al-Ifada, sa'i, then you leave right away, you'll be also exempt from doing another Tawaf for your farewell. Barakallah fikum, brothers and sisters. Let's take a short break, and inshallah we'll be back with you in a couple of minutes. Please stay tuned.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك لا شريك لك إن الحمد والنعمة لك.
Imagine at the Anbiya, they were the ones, they were the most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they had the hardest lives.
He assumed that he had some kind of superiority and he was a better, more chosen, a better person because he had this wealth. And then you look at all the other people who had wealth, and some of them were the worst people. You had Fir'aun and Qarun.
Reviving your niyyah time and again, that you're doing insincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Most of the youth, they think, oh, I'm going to pray when I'm old, it's okay now, I'll have fun in my life. Later on I'll work, I'll go on my bed, I'll pray 5 times a day. And all these things, they think that's later on in their life, and they don't know when they will die.
Amira, who's your role model?
Khadija radiallahu anha.
And why?
Because she was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's wife, and she was the first lady to believe in Islam.
لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك لا شريك لك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك.
Huda TV's social media sites are the best way to contact us from anywhere around the world. Stay connected with Huda TV's latest news and programs through Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, Skype, and Instagram. It's fast and easy. Stay up to date with your favorite shows and scholars today. Huda TV, a light in every home.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك لا شريك لك إن الحمد والنعمة لك.
Why is Hajj so important? Allah the Almighty said in verse number 97 of the third chapter of the Quran, which is known as Ali Imran, He said, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا تابعوا بين الحج والعمرة فإنهما ينفيان الفقر والذنوب. Follow up performing Hajj after Hajj and Umrah after Umrah. So what is the first step? Ihram. The first pillar is Ihram. What does Ihram mean? What does it entail? Hajj al-Ifrad, many of the local people do Hajj al-Ifrad and others because they're exempt from offering the Hajj or the sacrifice. It doesn't require Hajj. So when you say لبيك اللهم عمرة وحجة, that's called Qiran. And you do the rites of Umrah and you do not take off the Ihram condition. Rather you continue until you finish the Hajj. So Al-Hajj and Al-Umrah and following up between Hajj and Umrah for those who can afford it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives their past sins or whatever sins in between.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back with the last segment of today's meeting from this very beautiful place. Imam Majid, before the break, we've talked about women, and I know that, mashallah, you're very active in this regard. And we spoke about how the society should be supportive of single mothers and orphans. And the Muslim society is more worthy than any other society to play that role. Now, I want to switch something else, since you're involved in communal work in North American Muslim society and other societies, interfaith dialogue, would you share with us some experiences when you went home and you share the story of Hajj with people, with non-Muslims particularly, for instance? How effective were these stories? Did people inquire about, every time you come for Hajj, do they inquire about it? Do they ask, how do you guys go? What do you do? And does this have an impact on them?
Yes. When ABC have done the segment about Hajj, remember Ted Koppel, when he had this program, segment in ABC Nightline, I think, about Hajj, it was one of the program that viewed by many people, high rated, the most rating ever of that program, when he featured Hajj.
You're talking about
the
director who made
the ABC
the Hajj.
About Hajj.
That was 2000.
The ABC program.
That was year 2000.
It was amazing.
Michael Wolff.
Yes, Michael Wolff. Michael Wolff.
2000.
Michael Wolff was the person who narrated the story. And then you have CNN, after that, did the program also on Hajj. I would like first to thank the Saudi government for facilitating this kind of featuring of Hajj, because it impacts many people in the United States when they see millions of people gathered in such place. And all of them are focused, wearing very humble, simple clothes. Hajj is one of the most fascinating things to non-Muslims. Also that people have accepted Islam when they come for the first time to Hajj. Today I met somebody in our tent, a new convert, who was saying to me, this is very transforming. I could not have imagined what it's like until I'm here. There's hardship, there's difficulty. I was completely out of my comfort zone. That's what he used.
Wow.
I was completely out of my comfort zone. But he said,
unlike what we think, whenever we speak to new Muslims about Hajj, we're always worried about the shock that they may have.
Exactly.
Because of the experience. We sleep in the streets in Muzdalifah, and the delay in the traffic for hours, and sometimes the lack of provision and the rush and the crowd. It's a big test.
And you can see on them the softness. They're always crying and emotionally connected, those new Muslims. I give you another very moving story. A few years ago, we had a convert to Islam. When he wore his ihram, tattoo all over his body.
Oh my God.
He just fresh. He was so worried about Hajj being accepted. Therefore, this is a new thing for him. His lifestyle and everything we used to do. And not to make a stereotype of people have tattoo. But he said to me, I come from a very tough, life. He, in Mina, he slept and get up in the middle of the night and say, I saw him. He said, what did you see? He said, I saw the Prophet. He saw Prophet Muhammad in his dream. Crying. I saw the Prophet. And also was really shocked. He said, what did he tell you? He said, he told me my Hajj been accepted. I was worried about it. He made all of us start crying. I gave him this.
What a beautiful message.
What a beautiful message. I remember that even his language he used, the day of Arab in the morning. I asked him, I said, are you ready? He said, rock and roll. Now he said, even the terminology.
A couple of years ago, we had the first Muslim congressman of Minnesota, Keith Ellison.
Keith Ellison,
Yes.
As you know, a congressman,
Yeah.
the first in history to become a congressman and coming to perform Hajj, followed by the Secret Service and National Guards, and a lot of people were surrounding him. He was performing Hajj with me. And you know what? He dismissed all of that. He said, I don't want any of that. And he just rolled, as you just used the term. He went, you were with us.
Yeah.
And he started going on his own, here and there, and mingling with people. And we interviewed him, and he interviewed us in programs, and he said similar things to that.
You have Malcolm X speaking about his experience.
Yeah, I was going to
Muhammad Asad is speaking about his experience. Michael Olson
Muhammad
himself.
Ali Clay.
Muhammad Ali. Hajj transformed people. Hajj is like nothing like Hajj.
I spoke to Keith Ellison at the airport when we were returning, and
it's like I was reading your mind.
Yeah, and I told him, Congressman, Malcolm X went to Hajj as Malcolm X and came back as Malik Shabazz.
Wow.
It completely transformed man and ideals. I'm just wondering, you came to Hajj as Keith Ellison. What is your return? What is your transformation? He said, I have always loved my faith. But through Hajj,
I love it even more.
My faith seemed like to embrace me now.
Oh, subhanAllah. He's an outspoken guy.
Yeah.
He knows how to phrase words.
Yeah, and
I love this.
eloquent. Yeah, and it was incredible. He does have the eloquence of speech, but I think it was genuine. He said
he was a radio host.
He said I've always loved my faith, but with Hajj I've noticed that my faith has accepted me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's what Malcolm X
said.
said.
This is what Hajj is. It's a newborn life. Why do you think you go back like the day you were born? It has that touch of you going back and you're a different person.
Actually, that what really differentiates between people who performed Hajj and their Hajj has been accepted, and those who performed Hajj and their Hajj was not accepted. Because I met a person after attending the lecture, he came to me and his spouse and he said, I wanted to discuss something with you. He said, I came to Hajj before, and I'm not gonna deny, I drink. Okay, so when we went back to the States, my colleagues threw a party and they offered drinks. I said, no, I quit drinking. He's a Muslim. I quit drinking. He said, why? He said, because I made Hajj and made Tawbah. Another Muslim guy suggested, well, they haven't moved the Kaaba yet. You can drink and go back. Take it lightly.
Yeah.
So that's a major difference between a person, and that is the meaning of Al-Hajj al-Mabrur.
Yes.
And this is a sign of acceptance.
Yes.
When Hajj becomes a turning point.
Yeah, you get into the moment of Hajj. Last year, we had a very prominent female physician. She's very successful in her work. She's actually in the DC area. And she came to me and she says, Imam, I'm trying to focus to where I can feel Hajj, and I'm not succeeding. I said, Hajj is about eliminating the dunya from your heart. And that is why men are in shrouds, basically, 2 towels. And basically, even women, even though they're still wearing whatever clothes normally they're wearing, but it's still a complete isolation of what they are accustomed of, beauty and makeups and so forth. I said, you haven't eliminated the noise around you. She goes, you mean the people? I said, no, the noise of the dunya. You need to eliminate the noise, this ringing of your voice. Look down for you to go up. She goes, I said, look down before you go up. And she went to do tawaf. And she did tawaf, wallahi, Sheikh Muhammad. She came back and we were having dinner at Fairmont Hotel. And she says, Sheikh, I think today I became a Muslim.
I looked down.
I looked down and I felt like my soul went up.
Yes. And I have a man who told me today that he lost his son, 16 years old, in an accident. And he said Hajj brought closure to him.
Yeah, we made dua for him and his son yesterday.
He said Hajj brought closure to him. It is amazing that how Hajj healed people too.
Yeah.
Because you are in this an ocean of dhakirin, and you feel like a sense of belonging. You feel like you're not alone.
Yeah,
and the struggle itself, it reminds you that this is really about a test, being tested in life. And when you see your brothers and sisters from around the globe and people sympathize with you, bring healing to people.
Subhanallah. طيب, something I have been reflecting upon, which is the commandment of Allah to abstain from what is permissible for a temporary time. In fasting, during Ramadan, you abstain from eating and drinking of anything which is lawful. You abstain from embracing your wife, which is lawful during any other time. But from dawn to sunset, no. In Hajj, you strip from your clothes, you strip off your clothes, and you wear these 2 towels. And while you are in a state of ihram, you're restricted to clip your nails, to remove any hair. You're on high alert. Those who have the habit of playing with their hair, pulling some hair on their teeth, wearing perfume, covering their head, this is absolutely restricted. It keeps you on high alert so long as you are in ihram.
Yes.
Don't you think that should increase the strength and the power of the believer to avoid what is prohibited?
Yes.
And increase the strength and the power of the believer to be more enthusiastic in doing what he or she has been commanded to do.
Actually, Hajj is the summary of all the pillars of Islam.
Jameel.
That's why it's the 5th.
Jameel.
You have the Shahada, and you have Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik. The nasheed, the song, the chanting of Tawheed. Through the Hajj, reaffirming your faith. And you praying all your life toward the Qibla. Now you are at the Qibla. Not only that, all the lines of prayer from around the world came closer and closer and closer. The Russian, the Chinese, the American, the African, from around the globe they came with their lines, and then they have a circle line now as one unit around the Qibla. Then you have spending. Hajj is required for you to spend money to come all the way from all over the world. So there's some people being saving all their life. This is really the saving of a lifetime to come to Hajj.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
Okay? Really take that, dedication to let go of some luxury in your life to spend this money.
And even basics.
Basics. Yes. And then fasting. You abstain in fasting from things. You don't eat, you don't drink. You abstain from not using the perfume, abstaining from vent talk, like you do in Siyam. And therefore, it is a summary of the Siyam as well.
Training.
Therefore, it is the 5th pillar because of that. is a summary of all of them. When you're in Hajj, you experience the whole entire Islam.
And also it's a financial and a bodily act of worship.
Exactly.
You know, because the acts of worship, the pillars of Islam, some of them are financial, such as zakah, and bodily, such as the salah and siyam. It combines both. Great. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, your question, I believe, you know, the Sahaba used to say, كنا نترك كثيرا من المباح أو ندع كثيرا
في الحرام
خشية أن نقع في الحرام. And they used to abstain away from a lot of what's permissible or things that are halal, just pure natural concepts, out of fear that they might engage in something that is haram.
Yeah.
I think it even goes to a different level. The more that we find ourselves drowning in the dunya, even if it's in halal, it's actually a distraction of what is more important, which is our deen.
I love to continue with this, but if you don't mind, I will take Brother Nasser from West Africa. Assalamu alaikum. Nasser from North Africa. Wa alaikum salam, Brother Nasser. How are you? Happy Eid to you. Go ahead, I hear you. I'll count on you hearing the question.
It's cutting off.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Nasser. Okay, please try again, Brother Nasser. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Like I said, drowning in the dunya, even if it's halal, it weakens the heart. I mean, like, subhanallah, Rabi al-Adawiyya used to say, the love of dunya and the love of the hereafter cannot exist within one heart.
Allah.
It cannot exist. One of them has to be dominant of
overcome the other.
Yeah, overcome the other. Sometimes we convince ourselves by saying, well, alhamdulillah, I'm away from the haram. But we get in so much luxury that when the test comes for abstaining from what we have accustomed ourselves to do, then it becomes a little bit overwhelming. And I've noticed this from some of our Hujjaj. I mean, some of our Hujjaj have lived today in the United States a very, very luxurious life. They have been blessed with so many things that many people probably are deprived. And then all of a sudden, we're telling them, you know what? You need to abstain from all of that. You need to spend the night under the sky, like you said the other day, under all the stars, under all the stars. And the gentleman that was sleeping next to me, he had a huge rock under him, and this is so amazing. And this gentleman is a huge businessman in Houston. He is the #1 exporter for goods to the Middle East.
Wow.
Okay, and he was sleeping. He was trying to convince me to tell him that he doesn't need to stay in Muzdalifah.
Oh.
Since we were in Medina, he even joked about it. He said, if I give you a job, would you let me go?
bribing the imam.
And I know he was joking and all that, but he was trying to find ways. And last night while we were sleeping, he had a huge rock under him. I mean, seriously, a huge rock under him. And he was sleeping. And I noticed it, and I was telling myself, should I wake him up and move it, or should I keep him like that? He wasn't feeling it. So in the morning when he woke up, I said, how's your back? He said, it's fine. Why? I said, you had a big, huge rock under you. He said, you know what?
It was a massager.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said, I have a gap in my back.
Really?
He just filled it. I said, do you know what that gap is? It's a gap that can never be filled by all the wealth of the dunya that you have. It was filled today with the faith that you were willing to sleep with such simplicity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the pain away.
SubhanAllah.
The thorns of dunya is a reality. The comfort of our luxurious houses or rides or even extended families of existence cannot take away the pains of those thorns. The only way those thorns will not be felt is if you understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your caretaker.
I swear to Allah in whose hand is my soul, this journey is the most amazing journey. It summarizes life from birth to death.
That's right.
It summarizes the entire existence of this dunya. And we do have countless experiences that we're not teasing the viewers, rather we're sharing with them so that they will feel like they are with us. But the only problem that I have been always encountering, which is not only me, is once we depart, once we leave, we all know that, alhamdulillah, Allah washed off all our sins and we
Yeah.
are pure as the same day we were born. You're feeling when you land to JFK, Houston, Texas, or whatever, and you see things and you get involved with the dunya, but this after this call, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Muhammad from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, brother Muhammad?
I am congratulating Nigeria all over the Muslim world.
Eid Mubarak to you and to your family. Go ahead.
I am congratulating all the Muslim over. And we extend our mercy from God. And we expect the God to wipe out our sins. And we pray Almighty Allah to give us peace and stability world over.
Jazakallahu khairan. Barakallah feek, brother Muhammad. Thank you so much. Jazakallah khairan. May Allah bless you and your family. What I mean with that is the shock. A lot of people, they feel like, I want to stay here. Of course you can stay here, you know, for many reasons, because you charge the battery in order to resume working, to benefit out of this juice that you gain here, to transmit it to the other, to the outer community. Now,
I have some tips for people who live, you know, especially in the Western countries, where you might not live in a big city where there's a lot of Muslims. Create what called Hajj-made relationship, Hajj buddy. You need someone, like my grandfather's system was, that the person who you go Hajj with, or went Hajj with, become your friend for life.
You want to make a Hajj reunion.
Yeah, yes. Therefore, now what we do in our community, even the Hajj people want to Hajj with them maybe 5 years ago. You get together once in a while to check on one another, to see if everyone is still maintaining the spirit of Hajj. Some people might find they're still struggling with some spiritual issues, and then this collective effort will make that person again feel the sense of Hajj. Hajj creates a frame of reference. And as ulama of Raqaiq says, when you feel a good moment, a spiritual moment, prolong the moment. And
live the moment.
Prolong it and re-invite it again, relive it. And therefore when you gather together, you remember Arafat, you remember Muzdalifah, and it reminds you also of the commitment you made as you stored the Jamarat here. That you made a commitment of resisting temptation. You made a commitment of humility. You will be going back home as a changed person.
Jazakallahu khayr.
That's what it is.
We only have like a minute left.
Yeah, and also, just for that minute, the reality is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows who we are. And He said, فَإِذَا قَضَيْتُم مَنَاسِكَ. Once you finish all your rituals, فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَذِكْرِكُمْ آبَاءَكُمْ أَوْ أَشَدَّ ذِكْرًا. He found a balanced line. Okay, you can't go back with Hajj and live Hajj again. But you can find a balance to where you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as you would do your own family. فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَذِكْرِكُمْ آبَاءَكُمْ أَوْ أَشَدَّ
Recruit
ذِكْرًا.
these beautiful memories.
فَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيا. The ayah, the end of it because of time, يقولون ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة. That's what we're looking for from our Hujjaj.
Balance.
Balance. When they go back, we are telling our Hujjaj, look, you have accomplished something you cannot replicate again.
Yes.
You can only replicate this in this land. But this land has given you an opportunity to where you have reached the extreme of spirituality where maybe you were not there. Try to come into the middle and find your dunya and akhirah somewhere.
Barakallah feekum. Jazakumullah khairan. Enjoyed hosting you guys today. Alhamdulillah, shukla. It's time to go and have late dinner, three of us, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan, brothers and sisters, dear viewers everywhere. Happy Eid, Eid Mubarak to all of you. May Allah accept from all of us, and hope to see you one more time. Inshallah, until then, I leave you in the care of Allah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.